Welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Johnny lies to Paulina about Chanel's exposure at the sanitarium. Sarah visited Paulina in her insulation room. With a shriek, Paulina noted that she missed her family. Sarah examined Paulina. "As soon as it's safe to release you, we will," Sarah said. "No end in sight," Paulina murmured. Sarah counseled Paulina to be patient. Sarah and Paulina talked about Johnny and Chanel's trip to the Horton cabin. "Although I do not suppose that the snowstorm was what they were awaiting," Sarah said. Paulina chortled. When Sarah joked about losing power, Paulina's smile faded. Sarah assured Paulina that the cabin had plenitude of wood and robes to stay warm. "I am sure they're going to be just fine," Sarah stressed. While Sarah worked on her tablet, Paulina looked at a paraphrase of E.J.'s press conference on her computer. "This isn't the way you apologize to a wrongfully indicted teenage boy," Paulina yelled. Sarah advised Paulina to put away the work because Paulina's heart rate was high. "Suppose happy studies," Sarah encouraged Paulina. At Tripp's apartment, Harris helped Ava finish packing in medication to move in with him. "I just do not want Tripp and Wendy caught in the line of fire again now that Clyde's still in my hair," Ava said. With a moan, Ava noted that the sound of Clyde's voice had made her skin bottleneck. "I have been trying to track his position. He hasn't left any trail," Harris said. Harris argued that Clyde had undervalued him and Ava. "I am the bone. Who's going to bring his burro to justice?" Harris said. "For you, justice is putting Clyde behind bars. But for me, it looks a little different," Ava said. Ava told Harris about when she had hovered to slit Clyde's throat. Harris said he'd not let Clyde hurt Tripp or Ava again. "Or you. I like you better alive," Ava said. Ava complained about the black book. "I do not indeed know where to begin looking for it," Ava said. Harris suggested that they work on a plan for an organized hunt of the bistro. "I am just glad I am not doing this alone," Ava said. "And I am just glad you told me about Clyde's call right down this time." "Thank you for trusting me," Harris said. Harris argued that they had a shot at landing Clyde once they set up the black book. In the city forecourt, Nicole berated E.J. for his half-hearted public reason. "You did not indeed mention Tate or his family," Nicole snapped. "I did, just before you arrived," E.J. combated. Nicole told E.J. that she was disappointed Tate.j's reason hadn't been genuine. "I did exactly what I said I would do. No more, no lower," E.J. argued. "You want to bury this, do not you? Are you indeed sorry that you locked up Tate? Or are you just embarrassed?" Nicole asked. E.J. explained that he was too busy with his job to do further. Nicole asked about Stefan's hail. "The judge said that they will take the plea agreement under debate, which means I've no idea yet if the court is going to accept or reject the deal," E.J. said. With a curt nod, E.J. argued that he demanded to get back to work and had no further time for the press. Before E.J. could leave, Chad and Xander blocked E.J.'s exit. "You are unthinkable. Starting a press conference beforehand to avoid the press," Xander said. "It's not a good look, D.A.D. Mara," Chad added. Xander and Chad demanded to ask J. questions as members of the public. E.J. suffed and folded his arms defensively. "Did you apologize to Tate and his parents?" Xander asked. E.J. verified that he'd apologized and that the family had been present. "The matter is resolved," E.J. said. While Xander continued to question E.J. about the press conference, Chad walked over to Nicole. "Why would he start the press conference beforehand? He did not want the press then?" Chad asked. "I am really not interested in talking about this," Nicole said. After a moment, Chad asked about Holly. Nicole said Holly was doing well and back at academy. "How have you been holding up?" Chad asked. Nicole admitted that she didn't know what to do with herself since she no longer demanded to watch for Holly. I allowed. I'd be raising my little boy, Nicole said. With a sad smile, Nicole noted that God had other plans for her. I just do not know what they're yet, Nicole admitted. Across the forecourt, Xander asked D.J. about the disquisition into who had shot Harris. D.J. verified that the disquisition was ongoing. We'll keep you acquainted of any developments, E.J. said. Xander spotted Harris walking by with Ava, and Xander called out to Harris to ask about any developments in the firing. Is your department any near to chancing the factual shooter? Xander asked. Harris directed Xander to follow up with the police manager. Well, what about Clyde Weston? Xander asked D.J. We have initiated a civil manhunt for Clyde Weston and his abettor, E.J. said D.J. assured Xander that all leads would be delved. Uncomfortable, Ava rumored to Harris about getting a mug of coffee. D.J. watched Ava walk down. After Ava and Harris seized 2 mugs of coffee, they stood by the Salem Inn. Ava apologized to Harris about having been grilled by Xander. Cannot condemn him. He wants to know who set him up, and my shooter is his link to chancing out, Harris said. When Ava apologized for her part, Harris told Ava that he was glad he'd chosen to cover her. Stefan's a little snooper, but he was under Clyde's control like you were, Harris said. Ava corrected. Not for long, Harris said. Chad questioned D.J. on the record about the captivity time recommended by the quarter attorney's office for Stefan's plea deal. Considering you guys are family, any nepotism or conflict of interest would be veritably intriguing for our compendiums, Chad said. And yet, then you are questioning me. Is not that a conflict of interest, little family? E.J. combated. D.J. informed Chad that there had been a hail, but the judge hadn't reached a decision. D.J. said he believed that Stefan would be given a just judgment for his part in the medicine trade. Stefan intruded to advertise that he'd entered justice. Across the forecourt, Harris and Ava changed a look. The judge followed the law, agreed to time served, and I am a free man, Stefan said. D.J. ended the press conference. Did you endorse for your family's release? Xander cried as D.J. ran out of the forecourt. Chad suggested that they talk to Stefan rather. Do you need me? There is nearly I need to be, Xander said. With a shake of his head, Chad told Xander he could handle the interview with Stefan. Xander admitted that his main provocation to attend the press conference had been to question E.J. about who had set Xander up for tried murder. Does not feel veritably interested in chancing out who was behind it, Xander murmured. As Xander left, he narrowed his eyes at Stefan. Catch up with you latterly, mate, Xander growled. At the edge of the forecourt, Harris and Ava interdicted E.J. You allowed Stefan to go free? How could you be so reckless? Harris asked. Me? You covered up the idea of your own shooter to cover for this slippery snake, E.J. combated as he signaled at Ava. Ava asked about Susan. E.J. frowned. On the other side of the forecourt, Nicole goggled daggers at Stefan. This is unthinkable, Nicole lumbered. Chad asked Stefan how he'd wormed his way out of captivity. Nicole demanded an explanation. What's your problem? Stefan asked. You're my problem. You're my son's problem. You helped put those medicines on the road that nearly killed her, Nicole argued. Frustrated, Nicole reminded Stefan that she and Holly were Stefan's family. I feel terrible about what happened to Holly, and I no way intended on anybody getting hurt. I only allowed those medicines to get picked up and dropped off the lading wharf. And that was under the trouble of fleshly detriment to my woman.